Hi there, Adrian Tepes here, and this is another episode of Whatever Happened to the Game. Today we're going to be talking about Halo. So, in order to start with talking about Halo, we're going to have to talk about the various games which led up to Halo. And this goes back to the early days of the franchise. Before I get too far, I just want to say I recommend Steam. Online game service. There's numerous old and new games for PC, and Steam does a great job of keeping old games running and running and running. Even when you get a new PC, which I have done, my games in my Steam library are still up there for me to play, which is excellent. Now, to move forward a little bit, it's great. Many of the games that are mentioned are going to be available on Steam. So without too much further ado, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what came before. Now, if you look at Bungie, and before we look at Bungie, previously there was Whatever Happened to the Game, and that was the Alien game. So it's going to be an interesting video, and I collected them all into a premiere, which is great. Now, the road to Halo began with Pathways into Darkness, which is interesting. It's a dungeon crawler. Now, if you aren't too familiar with a dungeon crawler game, you can talk about, say, Eye of the Beholder. So yes, you can do shooting, and you can do plenty of work when it comes to going around and picking up items. And so we're going to take a little look at Pathway into Darkness right now. Bungie's first game. So as you can see, it's very similar to Wolfenstein 3D. The overall setup, how you have, it's not true 3D at all. You have your gun in front, like Wolfenstein. You have these flat walls. They try to make it appear 3D. Now, these games are not actually 3D, as they more or less. Hi there. I know.
Hey, sorry I'm late, buddy.
This is the start of Bungie Software with Pathways to Darkness. You're playing as an Army Ranger, exploring a mysterious disturbance at a Mayan temple. So you're going to the sublevel. So this is how Bungie got started. As you can see, it's very similar to Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, yeah, very much. This looks interesting. Oh.
Started as a, this is how Bungie started. You find all these weird relics from all over history. Like, why are you finding Nazi stuff inside a Mayan temple in the lower levels? But ultimately, this game is pretty much dead, so I'm going to spoil the fact that you find out that it is an alien race that is hiding down there, and you, in fashion of the movie E.T., you help them leave the planet. But you have to fight through all these things to get to the next level.
Interesting. It's funny how it actually sort of looks and plays better than Wolfenstein. Is this older than Wolfenstein?
This is actually 1993. 1993.
Okay,
Well,
okay, that
so
is fine.
the founders of Bungie started off on PCs writing this game. They were literally just finishing their computer science. Well, one of them was a computer science major when he and his partner in programming this for making this game. It wasn't until after they graduated that they could get their own little studio in Chicago to work on more games, like the Marathon series.
Interesting.
But as you can see on the lower right, there's a menu of your items you're carrying on you, and the items you picked up. So kind of similar to BioShock in a way, or System Shock. But yeah, in the early days, they're also pretty exclusive, and that most of their games were Mac OS only. that obviously changed with when they got acquired by Microsoft.
Gotta love how there's a there's definitely some Wolfenstein in the DNA because they have a copy of Mein Kampf.
Yeah, they do. They do. They do. It's also kind of similar, except to really early Elder Scrolls games, such as Daggerfall or Arena, which I finally started with the older Elder Scrolls games. GOG had them, so I started trying them out.
Uh-huh.
They also had the older Elder Scrolls games for free when they had the Bethesda sale in August, so it's past now. But sadly, of all the things Bungie has, this game is not one of the freebies they have here on Steam right now. They do have Marathon, not thanks to Bungie, but thanks to another open source developer known as Aleph 1. But that's going to be coming up next. So it ultimately turns out to be a prequel to Marathon series of first-person shooters when there's an alien race at the bottom of the basement of a Mayan temple known as the Jaro, which you meet in the Marathon series as well.
Interesting. Are we gonna learn that Halo is actually just a future sequel of these games?
Maybe, although it doesn't quite work because Marathon is even farther in the future and they don't have faster than light travel. At least the humans don't. The alien races do, which is why I'm going to go to the next one. So the Marathon trilogy. So only the second one back in the day of release was actually available for Windows. The other ones are macOS exclusive. But this was somewhat of a contemporary competition with Doom. I mean, the first one came out in 1994, but the main idea was having their own first-person shooters. And of course, back then, with the limited data they had for the game, they used text. So I'm going to show a little bit of the three Marathon games, and Bungie's going to go back to it for the newer PlayStation games, another Marathon. Although it's a distant sequel, it mainly appears to be focused on multiplayer games, which is fine because multiplayer was a big thing. But I don't know, not quite the same.
I also noticed that was basically the Tau's symbol.
Yeah, it's the symbol used in Pillar of Autumn in Halo. And it's also the Marathon symbol in the game as well. So if you get this one, all the three Marathon games are on Steam right now for free, so you can get them that way. Which is good because I tried the original and it involves keyboard controls, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, mouse controls on a PC are the best. Way to go. So here's the text wall they use, because unlike Halo, their AI, known as Leela in this game, interesting. She talks to you with text walls on consoles. It's not like Cortana where you always hear her talking to you in her head. Obviously, this is part of the technical limitations of the 90s, but you can see that there's some degree of a predecessor there with what they're doing of you having a companion AI with you.
Well, it's common for developers to take mechanics that worked for past titles and then you reworking them a little to operate in the future projects.
Right.
So it's interesting to see how it all goes.
Right. And that's the thing is that before we start with Halo, we really have to take a look at all these things that Bungie did and how they developed the concepts, which they would essentially streamline and accrue them together into the final Halo products. So Marathon 2 came the year, each one came one year after the other. So Marathon 2 came again in 1995. So this is you'll recognize this is the same composer as Halo with Martin O'Donnell.
Oh, neat.
This is where he got started with doing his music for Bungie, was Marathon 2.
Yeah, this is also basically like the same, or at least what they showed there on the art style. That was pretty much the Mjolnir armor.
Right. Similar, although it has the eye slit, and that is your character. He's known as a Mjolnir cyborg. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. So the other guys are what we call Bob, born on board, because you're, like I said earlier, this is a starship marathon. It doesn't go faster than light, so people live their whole lives for 50 years to reach Tau Ceti 3 or 4. I'm trying to remember which planet in the star system, but yeah. So it's an artificial habitat in space. So these guys have never seen Earth.
Uh-huh.
They've been born on the ship. And the cyborg or security officer was taken out of stasis. So the new thing that Marathon 2 does, just like Halo 2 would do later, is it starts the dual wielding concept. Like if a gun doesn't involve holding it with 2 hands, you can use 2 of it.
Okay. And what year did this one come out?
1995, the year after the first Marathon.
Gotcha.
Now this is remastered, so it's not the kind of graphics you'd see in the original.
Sure.
But I do recommend Aleph 1. I mean, it's a free way to get old 90s FPS games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all 3 marathons. And it's, I'm kind of disappointed that it wasn't Bungie that did this, because, I mean, they're releasing a distant sequel with another marathon game. I guess they're assuming that people think it's the first one, or I don't know. These games are 30 years ago, so I don't know how many people would still have the nostalgia hype for another marathon game.
Well, they've been able to do all kinds of different things with just old properties that had no rhyme or reason to come back.
Right. I mean, at the
good
end,
Lord, we got a sequel to Twister.
Oh yeah, that's a film. Yes. Yeah, that's a film, but that's true. Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure since they 343 Studios just like shifted over to doing they just changed their name to from 343 to Halo Studios. I don't imagine anybody's gonna want to bring up any of these older projects. It looks like Bungie is just completely dedicated to Destiny.
Well, yeah, Destiny, and I don't know. They gave me away. I haven't even touched on my Steam library yet. I mean, it looks interesting as an RPG, but I don't know. I'm just focusing on finishing what I have, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, same. I started at the top of the list on Steam, and I've got like 150 games. Probably played like a quarter of that.
Oh my, 100? How did you do that? I've been
on Steam for a long time.
So have I, but mainly my original reason for being on it was Half-Life.
Yeah, amazing. I never did. I never actually played Half-Life.
You haven't?
No.
I recommend it. I think it's for 2004. Half-Life 2 was pretty good, and the same with the original one. They did quite a bit in terms of having you operate objects in your environment. Like you get on a crane, you manually control the crane.
Oh, okay. Is that what Half-Life may have kind of got big for, was just environmental interaction?
Yes, that's exactly what Half-Life had. In fact, they used the engine from Quake 2, but they added some elements like environmental interaction, flipping switches, operating cranes, running remote control cars into the game.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting. It's one of those games that I really recommend playing the first Half-Life for the second one, because kind of need to know what's going on from the
Sure.
first Half-Life. But yeah, they were what got Half-Life is what got Valve Software started, and
Oh,
it's iconic to Valve, so it's going to stay on Steam.
gotcha.
So in this game, you don't pick up med packs. You have to hit a console, and the console refills your health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to hit a secret now with a grenade launcher. Don't try this at home, by the way.
Yeah, good old rocket jumping.
Yep.
Oh, it pops up like Castlevania.
Right. Which reminds me, I'm gonna try and finish Simon's Destiny again. That's a good Doom mod that's based on Castlevania.
Yeah. It was. I really like those kind of fan projects.
I think it's one of the best ones they've done with cheesy Doom in terms of mods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully they actually do something a little bit more with it now that Doom 1 and 2 are out, and it's much more. It's got such a resurgence now. Maybe it'll actually go somewhere.
Right? Oh, yeah. I mean, Doom. Yeah, Doom.
Yeah, Doom. For anybody who's not aware, Doom 1 and 2 were recently re-released on Steam in their original versions. They were all compiled together with a bunch of the other the DLC or expansions. Very different era from the expansions, and you had like master levels of Doom 2 and Plutonian Experiment. So like Final Doom 1, yeah, Doom 1, 2, and Final Doom, as well as a bunch of the later introduced expansion packs like not master levels of Doom 2. There's another pack that's like 8 like super high detailed maps. It came out on the 360 with I want to say it was Doom 3, and they also made a whole new one.
I mean, Doom 3 originally was just Xbox. I mean, because 2004 was that time where they were still...
Yeah. Thank you.
They were getting ready for the Xbox 360 as somewhat of a transition, which is why I was thinking of going off Halo. We're going to talk about what we think will be the successor to the Nintendo Switch whenever that happens. We'll see how... We'll even follow up if they do release the new... like what the Switch 2 is, I'm going to call it, and see what happens with it. But yeah,
they're really funny. They just call it the Switchblade, but
Switchblade.
Yeah. But yeah,
that might be a gangster reference, though. People could, in today's world, they could get triggered and probably call Switchblade a gangster reference.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean,
but yeah, Doom 2 has a new campaign, and
I've got my Gerber.
It's nice,
and it works great.
Mm-hmm.
It helps. So
I do like that the switches are nice and clear in this game.
Yes, this is actually a remaster in the Steam version for Aleph 1, so another good reason to have it. But yeah, this is what started the gimmick of having like infinity in the title of a game, like how they did BioShock Infinite or Halo Infinite and so on. And this is where they do the whole time traveling within the game for Marathon as well. But at the end, it's kind of confusing. So I'm wondering why they made a sequel to Marathon, but I guess it could be a soft reboot. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to stay on Marathon too much longer. We're going to go.
Is this the now I did recognize the armor a little bit, or maybe it's just my memory getting old like me. Is this the armor suit they used for the character in Red vs. Blue when Church has to keep going back in time?
Yeah. Yeah. They took the Marathon asset, and you can tell by the low resolution that it's
okay.
That was the marathon. So I'm not going to stay too long on marathon, but
Sure.
the next one is Myth: The Fallen Lords. It's Bungie's way of pioneering the RTS. So in their RTS, you don't have base building. You have a limited number of troops, and you have it all play out in 3D. Right? You can have the camera angles change, and you have a limited number of soldiers. So your soldiers get experience by surviving a mission. So then, if you have soldiers that survive missions, they have higher HP. They're more accurate in their weapon attacks, and so on. And there's so many
Cool.
environmental aspects too, such as dwarves throw grenades, but maybe the grenade fails to explode and someone else could pick it up, or if the grenade falls in the water, it won't explode, and so on.
Interesting.
And what you see in the cover for Myth is that you see a ghoul, and as your enemies, because you're playing against the undead hordes, the ghouls in Myth are dangerous because they can pick up various objects and either throw them or use them as a weapon themselves. So the ghoul, as you see the cover, he picked up another guy's sickle, and he's using it against the regular standard soldier for the human army. So that's the crazy part.
Lasted 4 days without. Monday, September 15th.
I'll be back. If you
Outskirts
can
of
keep
Tea.
commenting.
Yeah, sure.
The battle for Madrigal lasted 4 days without.
Gotta love how the
Shiva
Covenant
fell on the
is
first night in a spectacular
here.
dream duel with Rabicon, one of the 9. No one expected.
It's like so many of the other
Never before
things that were
challenged
mentioned
one of the
with
4
all of the
and won. But the truth
returning
behind the victory
elements from
is
previous
stranger than
games.
any of the rumors. Apparently the 9 found the severed head of one of Balor's enemies from the old days, buried out in the desert under several tons of sand and rock, and managed to start talking to the thing. Balor is the power behind the Fallen Lords, and we figured his enemy.
What dialogue? Managed to start talking to the thing.
Head had an old score to settle with Shiva, and told Rabicon that her one weakness was vanity, and showed him how to exploit it. The head appears to know something about everything, and now it has us looking for an artifact called the Total Codex. It's been located in the ruined city of Covenant, but the first group sent to retrieve it has not returned.
I do appreciate how the
In a
dialogue
few minutes, Rabicon
is
himself is going to send a few
more
of us
like
through a
somebody
road
just
knot to Covenant.
trying to retell
bring
you
back the
what's
codex.
actually happening. Homecoming. I wonder if that's the small map for this area. I'm sure it is. Is this live action? It would definitely be appreciated if this was like a film. Definitely for that era. Oh, wait, maybe not. It's definitely for that era of RTSs. Including these load times. I wonder if the game crashed. Wait, I see something. Oh no, Adrian. I used to play Myth back in the day when my family owned a Mac. Oh, yeah. Good old times. Hey, Chaos. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Adrian. You back?
Yeah, I'm back here for now. I got kicked off the internet.
Did Myth just crash or something?
My internet connection crashed, and I rebooted the connection.
Ah, gotcha.
So this is only.
Ooh, it glows in the dark. She has got some amazing. Face with the heroine.
Yeah,
you know, that classic blunder in Hollywood and
film. But this is another bit of work by Martin O'Donnell here too. Last game released before the acquisition by Microsoft.
I feel like I've seen information about this in an old Game Informer or something. Because I do recognize some of the imagery here. I just don't. Not that it isn't obviously inspired by Ghost in the Shell. That comes immediately to mind.
Yeah, it was inspired by. It was more or less inspired by that. They released it on both PC and PlayStation 2, so.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why it was mentioned in magazines.
This is horrible. Syndicate troops are attacking the airport.
So this is by Amanda Wynn. I think she hasn't shown up much now, but she's both the voice of the robot named Shinatama and Kinoko, the character you're playing as.
Okay.
But for a Bungie game, it's special because it involves having a limited number of weapons. You can only carry one weapon on yourself at a time. In Halo, it's only two.
Mm-hmm. I love how they tried to hide the villain, be like, we're not going to show his face just yet. And then they show his profile, and you're like, oh, that's him.
Yeah. Yeah, you know who he is throughout this game. Well, you know who he looks like, but you just don't know who he is in relation to the plot. And of course, you can talk to us people.
I thought you were about to lay her out. Like you're under arrest. Pop.
Yeah, they also do talks about their fighting moves like it's a Capcom game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very reminiscent of a lot of. I don't remember what the actual like style of game is called, but this one looks like it plays a lot like Blade, Buffy, and a bunch of other games where you have like this free environment movement.
Yeah, look at the civilians can give you med packs.
Yeah, especially if they're not dead.
Right. Oh. But as you can see, it's good because it has like stylized fighting to the weapons. It reminds me of another game that someone mentioned about on YouTube, Fighting Force, where you could basically pick up weapons and hit people with them, or just punch them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Serpentine.
All right, let's go there. All right. Flipping them over does a lot of damage when in doubt.
You can just abuse that mechanic. It's like Soul Calibur all over again.
Yeah.
When in doubt, just throw them.
Yeah. All right. Uh-oh. Now, these are the guys that... oh,
Wow, that recoil is rough.
right. But it's just that if you hit them in melee enough, they'll blow up, which can destroy you.
Oh, gotcha.
Oops. I didn't mean to hit him, too.
Oh, thank goodness! I thought you killed him.
I did sometimes accidentally hit people, which is why I like the later ones, because there aren't any bystanders.
Gotcha.
Hey, you jumped in front of me.
And then he jumped in front of you, and oh, all right. Well, I guess everyone dies. These hands are rated E for everyone.
Yeah, or maybe I just knocked him out, but who knows?
Yeah, that's the old Batman excuse.
Especially in those Arkham games where they leave people hanging upside down, they slam to the wall. It's like, okay, don't worry.
They've got like stage 4 concussion. And he's like, "Where's Joker?" It's like you beat the man into first grade, bro. Like, how are they supposed to give you any information? I do like that the weapons come and go, and you can really only pick up like one at a time. Although it's funny that they all drop in a convenient, pack from Walmart.
Yeah.
Sales tag included.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a primitive way of just highlighting so you could see it.
It's funny how people supposedly didn't die from broken legs, arms in the Batman games. Oh yeah, it's any of these games like that are always comedic.
No, the peak one is Arkham Knight, where you take the Batmobile and you got rocket launchers and you're blowing up cars. It's like, are you sure
Oh
none of the
yeah,
cars
yeah.
have people in them?
Yeah. Yeah, you double tap with the rear wheels and somehow they're still alive. Batman doesn't kill. It's like, what? Like, how is that possible?
It's a real stretch to say there wasn't anybody in those cars you destroyed.
This person's bone marrow is leaking through their skin and you think they're okay?
More or less.
You almost dodged everything perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, with the plasma rifle, it's how do you say it? It's slow on the reload, so you can, if you know how they time the reloads, you can avoid it.
Oh, Adrian. He was like, oh, I could do this too.
Yeah, more or less. So, with Oni, that is the last game before Halo happened.
Okay. So. And what a major step forward from this Halo was.
Oh, yes. The monument to all their sins. Well, that's it, as they say. Let's see. Okay. And for some reason in Xbox games, there's so many cases of you being knocked unconscious by a escape pod landing, including Halo.
Well, that's that trope of trying to. Yeah. Well, so many end up trying to do that. They end up using that trope to try to get around dealing with having to transport characters from one location to another.
But yeah, I mean, Halo was nice. It had elements of previous games, like I'm trying to remember which came first, GoldenEye or Shadow Warrior, where you could drive a tank.
I will look that up because I feel like Shadow Warrior might. No. Shadow Warrior, I think, comes after.
Yeah, they were both in 1997.
Let's see. No, not N54, you tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 97 for that.
GoldenEye was 97. But I'm just trying to remember which month of 97.
Yeah,
May
because I'm.
15th.
The other question too is like their development cycle. I don't remember which one was in development first.
Well, it was Shadow Warrior was by 3D Realms using the build engine. I think GoldenEye was the first
Shadow
one.
Warrior began development early 94. Development for GoldenEye began in early 95.
Oh, so this is August 1997 when GoldenEye was released. So this is only a few months prior for Shadow Warrior. I will give GoldenEye credit for being actual 3D in terms of 3D objects.
Yeah, because Shadow Warrior was just an upgrade from Duke Nukem.
Right, it was the same build engine. But I'd argue
in May. Okay. May 97 for Shadow Warrior. So Shadow Warrior was developed first and released first.
Now this is where I'm being an idiot and trying to shoot the Banshee because we can shoot him down, but he crushed me.
The one thing I do enjoy about this one so far is that there's not because my lady and I are not too far into the game, but I do one of the things I really do like is the short iteration times.
Right. You can also listen to Cortana on the fly rather than your marathon where you have to read the text on the console.
You must be looking for survivors. I recommend immediate evasion.
But unfortunately, I'm going to have to record if things don't change because for some reason, this one right here, this is recorded off the Master Chief Collection on Steam. But for some reason, Halo 2, Halo 3 aren't working for me. Or at least it's weird graphics bugs for now.
Did you verify the file integrity?
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. I'll reinstall, but sometimes it happens. Maybe I could borrow someone's Xbox or something to play it and record it that way.
Right.
Hey, little brother, can I use your Xbox? I need to record footage.
It's for YouTube. Come on. You have your Xbox all the time.
Well, to be fair, my younger brother doesn't have kids yet.
Oh. That's why he's on it all the time.
Well, sometimes when he's not on the job. He and I like to play it together when we get time to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that was the other thing too is that technically this whole arena style fighting is unreal, but the graphics are obviously more smooth for Halo.
Oh yeah. Even at the time, Halo looked so much better than a lot of other games while still operating really well.
The game that started the Xbox.
Major revolution in gaming. An odd balance of a lot of things. We went from
and the Xbox too had the shadow. The shadow casting that they showed, how characters could have shadows on them, which wasn't in games before that.
Yeah. It's also a massive transitional period for FPS games because you used to have just a health bar and you could take cover, but it wasn't really like necessarily part of the game plan. and Halo was the transitional, like the bridge between, you know, old school shooter and like arcade shooters and modern day, you know, chest high wall gameplay.
Yeah. Not to mention just the size and scale of the maps we're in Halo. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of simplicity in their design, which allowed for such massive arenas. Because this is like modern day Nintendo thinking. How do we get the most out of so little?
Right.
And with so little to render, Halo's kind of run pretty well.
Right. I also did enjoy the fact that you could, well, it was kind of OP in the same sense because you have the scope on the 44 Magnum in the first game only.
Yeah, the Magnum's supposed to be super good. I can't attest to it because I haven't really played it enough to get used to the guns.
It's and it's fun. It's a higher resolution or polygonal version of the 44 Magnum you used in Marathon. The design is about the same.
Oh, okay.
Just that the Marathon 44 Magnum didn't have a scope on it. Well, you saw the scope, you couldn't use it.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm going to go back to Marathon and show it how it's the same kind of Magnum 44. Oh.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. See the scope on the Magnum and the.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's
like
also almost the same design on the Magnum too.
Yeah. More or less. So.
Is that the Raptor sound?
Yeah. They use a sound similar to the Raptor from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that.
More or less. So, as we're finishing up, there were plenty of games that actually came first, but Halo really brought them all together into one.
Yeah, it took all the best elements, refined them, and bada bing, bada boom. There you go, Halo.
Yep. I think it was cool too when I first played Halo because your enemies try to take cover as well. So that's a risky thing.
Yeah, the AI was definitely a lot more immersive. Not like other certain games like Perfect Dark, for example. Like the characters will hide and they'll go and get new allies to join the fights and a bunch of other things. Certainly, like the AI for Perfect Dark was much better than many games.
Right.
But not everybody took cover and ran. A lot of them all still operated on the, oh, look, there's the player. Let's descend upon them.
Or your enemies can jump in a vehicle, not just you. So your enemies can,
Yeah.
you don't, like in the part where you're coming out in the snow in Combat Evolved, if you don't shoot the elite fast enough, he will jump inside the tank. But if you hit him in advance, you can't get it. So you have one less Wraith tank to worry about. At least one.
Gotcha.
And there's many cases in Combat Evolved where if you can at least hit the guy, they won't get in the vehicle. So you'll be okay. Whether it's Ghost, Wraith, Banshee, and so on.
Yeah, hell, that's old Mega Man X thinking, where you're running through Sigma's fortress and there's a pilot about to jump in that armor, and if you destroy the pilot, you can jump into the armor yourself and make that mission easier.
I just remember my part where I had to backtrack. I had to go back to the checkpoint because I walked down on the bridge for if I had a super weapon. I blew the guy away with a rocket launcher. Then I watched the whole Banshee fall out. It's like, oh, well, now I can't get to the control room.
Nice.
I blew up my ride. So, hopefully this has been a great way to get started on our talk about Halo. Next week, we're going to talk about what we think is going to be the Switch 2. And
2025, start talking about whatever happened to films. So in the meantime, thank you everyone for watching, and this will be compiled into a 3-part on the Halo ones, and talking about the Switch next week, or what we think the Switch 2 will be.
Yeah. I got to do a bit more research on that, because I tend to forget the Switch 2 is even supposed to happen.
Right, but just think about what some of the better elements were from previous generations. For instance, I've taken a look back, and with the say Nintendo Wii, there was crossover games and even on PlayStation, when you have generations of those, there was crossing over, and I think that was some of the better things that Nintendo and Sony did, is that there were games that worked for both. So, anyways, have a nice day, and see you all next time with the next episode of whatever happened to the game.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a good day.
All right.